Hello, everybody. This is PCG, Sarah here. Thank you so much for joining me. And I hope these recordings, I keep saying podcasts, but recordings have been a blessing to you. I am using a cough drop because my throat is just painful. Again, I've been sick for the last 4 or 5 days. Well, now I think I'm on the 6th day and still have to take medicine, trying to get past it. But anyway, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. This is going to be my story series, and I don't know what I wanted to label it, so I'm calling it Impressionable Years Part 2, Background Matters, okay? And, I was listening to the other one because I want to just hear what I'm talking, I just want to, because I'm really not, maybe eventually I'll write like a little script for me. I just have like little bullet points that I want to cover, and I just don't know how I'm going to get there. But as I'm listening to it, this here is just my story, and maybe I should put verses in there when I'm talking about, maybe on the wonderful little stump here with the Bible. But I think what I'm doing with this particular series, hold on. It is hard to talk with a cough drop. One moment. Okay, chomp that down quite quickly. Anyway, when I'm listening to it, this isn't like just something I'm, preaching or whatever. I'm just sharing my story. I'm also assuming that a lot of people listening, which is probably just my family and friends, they're already saved. They know what I'm talking about. They have studied the Bible. And if there's somebody in here that doesn't understand the plan of salvation, that's fine. But there's other series the other series will help you with that. And this is just to get to know me. And sometimes when you're trying to get to know somebody and you want to witness to them, you don't have to just keep bombarding them with verses and everything. Sometimes you just want to get to know them, right? And I want you to get to know me a little bit. Anyway, so this is, again, the next part of the series of my impressionable years, my background. I believe it matters a great deal. It defines our personality. It defines our mindsets. It defines on who we are. And yes, our goal in life is to become more like Christ, okay? But becoming more like Christ does mean that our personality comes right along with it, right? We're just trying to get to that point where we're perfect, which we're never going to be, by the way. But I think, being more like Christ would be more like loving like he loved. Spending time with people like he spent time with his disciples. To me, he gave us such a great example of how he witnessed, how he, and it was such a 3 years of, ministry. It's just, anyway, that's another whole series. Let's just move on from there. But this here is just about me, just letting you know the journey which led me to salvation, okay? And then the journey after salvation, because, God has a plan before and after our salvation. If you're called and chosen, he already knew the path that would get me to know him personally and understand the plan of salvation and accept him. And anyway, he already knew those things, but in order because we all have these different journeys, and it's something I was thinking about too, is like, look at the people in the Bible he talked to. Taxpayers, fishermen. They all had their different backgrounds. They all had their different personalities. Again, I'm Moses, Peter, and Martha in a huge way. And God used those people mightily, despite their flaws, because we all have them. And just to pretend that we don't is just, I don't know. I remember, okay, so I had a great, see, this is where I just don't know where I'm going to go, but I had the small church I grew up, I grew up in Christ in, okay? Because I was there for, 2000, okay, I'm trying to think. Yeah, 2010 to 2015, so 5 years. Beautiful 5 years, lots of learning, growing by leaps and bounds, like I said. Um, let's see, tangents, lost my train of thought. It's so sad. Give me a second while I think about that. Honestly, I'm sitting here thinking I don't remember, but I grew up in a small church, and all of us have different backgrounds, and a lot of us were saved at an older age. A lot of us in that church. And I think, okay, I mean, what a privilege to grow up in a saved home, right? Attending church regularly. And some people might disagree, who knows? But all of our backgrounds are for a reason. And yes, it would have been great, but I don't think so. I don't think it would have been great for me because I look at the people that the Lord has put in my life, people that, boy, I can think of so many people, and I won't give names, but I mean, because of my background, because of what I've done and where I've been able to reach people that other people can't. I remember my friend telling me, I was sitting there talking to somebody at somebody's funeral, and you look at the person and you're like, ooh, they're scary. They look scary, right? Their clothes or their outfit, or maybe they have a ring in their nose or something like that. And I just can talk to them, and I'm comfortable. And, my friend came up to me, and I remember her saying, you can reach people that I could never reach, and and it's because of, again, my background. So growing up in a Christian home versus non-Christian home, I mean, who's more privileged? Who's more, I mean, if they were saved as, a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, I mean, and they're now 50 or 60, I mean, just think how wise they should be, and how wise and wisdom and all of that. That's amazing. A lot of great people who were saved young are just extremely wise and genuinely love the Lord and truly just want to share it with others, right? And but coming from my background, I don't have those years of wisdom, right? Again, I'll say it again because some people may skip these podcasts and listen to some, but I love kind of comparing my years in the Lord to my years in real life. And I am 26 years old in the Lord. And I mean, that's right after college. Well, you get out of college, like, well, let's see, 22, 23, you're still trying to establish your career. You're, I mean, if you're looking at today's modern age, right? People don't even get married till like 30 or 40. But, because, back in, maybe I should be married by now. And when you get married, I believe it just helps you with a little bit more wisdom. I remember one of my friends, her and I were both crazy. We love nerdy things, and she's like a sister to me. This is my pastor's daughter, and we enjoy just quirky things that people are like, okay, you guys are weird. And she said, I never, and I don't think she'd mind me saying this, nobody ever really considered me mature or wise until I got married and after I had kids. And she said, the funny thing is, I am the same person with the same quirks. She's like, it's almost as if you get married and you have kids, people look at you differently, like, oh, she must be really wise, or I don't know. But it was interesting how she put it. And of course, I'm single. Never been married, no children, lots of nieces and nephews that I love. And I'll be honest, I'm not looked at as if I'm a mature person because I am a nerd, hence my introduction on why I changed my name to Proud Christian Girl. I am a proud nerd girl. I love being a nerd. I love Doctor Who. I love Harry Potter. I love sci-fi and not just the movies. Well, I'm huge into movies and all that stuff because, oh man, in younger years I wanted to be an actress. And my goodness, I'm just a nerd. I mean, my nieces and nephews, well, my older ones especially, they just kept constantly calling me a nerd because when we go out, I acted like a little kid, not like a little kid, like, oh, I'm so immature and I can't handle myself. But I would have so much fun on the activities we did. I would go sliding with them, even now to this day. You know, I want to join in all the little kiddie activities that, you know, some people think, well, my goodness, let the kids enjoy it. Well, no, I'm going to go on that bouncy house. How fun is that? Anyway, so, that's just me. So, you know, going from Christian to non-Christian background, is there a difference? No. God uses us no matter what background and everything. And he has fishermen, taxpayers. He reached out to so many people. And so many of those people really became so mighty for them. Look at Paul. My word. What amazing testimony right there, right? And it doesn't matter. And some of the testimonies out there now, if you listen to them and just people from different backgrounds and how it is God who calls and chooses us. And yes, we can be an instrument in that. We can be a seed. You know, he compares it to like planting a field. People plant a seed, they water it, but he's the one who gives the growth, right? It's in the Lord's hands at that point. And anyway, so a couple things I wanted to mention this time around. First of all, my friend, okay, so let's talk about my younger years first when I was young. So we used to go camping every summer, pretty much. We would get a wonderful little lot, and we could get seasonal passes. So we put it up there from like, I think it was May until, I don't know, September or something. And Mom and Dad, we had a trailer, and we'd put that up there, and we would just, all we had to do is just pack some clothes, go up and enjoy the weekends or whatever we did, because sometimes we'd be up there for a week at a time or whatever, because that was at the point where I think Mom wasn't working. She was just a stay-at-home mom. My dad was working, but he would get laid off very often. Well, not often, but it seemed like often when I was a kid, you know. Kind of, when you're a kid, it's hard to explain everything. And sometimes we'd be up there a week or a month or whatever the case may be, but we just loved it. I loved it. I'm not an outdoors girl anymore, but I used to be. I used to be a tomboy. And then we got like this little community, because my aunts would come up on my mom's side and they would get one, and my grandma and grandpa got a lots, and so we had like 6 or 7 lots, and then our distant, you know, cousins and second cousins and my mom's aunts, and anyway, so we really got a lot of people up there, and then we got to know the campers that did the same thing that we did, and oh man, I could tell you stories, and it has nothing to do with the Lord, but we just had so many good times. But just to, you know, for those who know me so well, it kind of gives you an idea why I am the way I am. Like 4th of July, we would have Christmas in July, and had such amazing themes like cowboys and Indians, and I remember my aunt and uncle making this jail, and if you did certain things, you had to go to jail, and people had to bail you out, and it was just good times, and oh my word, all the themes that we had was just and of course, if you know me, I love my themed parties. That's where I get it from. And my mom is the same way. Huge entertainer. My mom was huge into entertaining. Every Halloween we had a party. Wow, just so many things that just impacted me to make me who I am today. But one thing I remember is while we were camping, back in the day, I don't think it's this way anymore, there was the non-electric side and the electric side. And of course, we chose the non-electric side. We really wanted to rough it. And there was a playground on the electric side that we really liked. It was bigger than the one that's on the non-electric side. So, and it was paved roads where we were on the dirt roads. And anyway, so we would go over to that particular campground and, let me see. We would just go over there and we would play on it. Well, we were there one day, and of course there was a large group of us. It was my siblings, which I have 2 sisters. I'm in the middle. And the people that we became really close with, that were cousins, all of that, okay? And we were over there, and 3 children came up to us. They were teens, maybe, yeah, they were all in their mid to late teens, maybe younger than that. There was 3 of them, though. And they just started witnessing to us. Now, I didn't know it was witnessing. We were all kind of creeped out by it. And, but some of the things that they were saying, and I think this is where the first seed was planted for me. Okay, not saying, because I went to, Catholic church, and I went to the Methodist church, but this is where I first heard what the plan of salvation was. And again, like I said, some of us were creeped out, and some people left. Some of the children left. I know, yes, a lot of them left. But I remember my older sister and I stayed, okay? I don't know who else stayed. But they witnessed to us because we were intrigued by it. And really all I remember out of it is, if you were not saved, and please just hear me out, okay? This is what I heard because I was a kid. And it's true, but it's kind of rough, okay? So be prepared. All I heard was, if you don't get saved, you'll go to hell, okay? And of course, I knew heaven and hell. I was going to church. I have heard the stories. And I remember the older boy, I think it was 2 girls and a boy, took me aside, and because they're like, hold on, I gotta really cough. Took me aside, and he said, they're like, does anybody want to be saved? I remember my sister went off with the girl, and I went off with this guy. And it's not like we were like off in these private places or whatever. We were all around, but just kind of spread out so we didn't have to hear each other. And he literally just told me how to pray the prayer of salvation. And I didn't really understand what I did, to be honest. My sister, though, and I hope she doesn't get mad at me, but I remember it vividly, she kept in touch with the girl. Oh, my goodness, I'm so sorry, my throat. She kept in touch with the girl through, like, letters and correspondence, through letters and mail after that. And that's all I remember. I remember my sister really enjoyed the correspondence and everything, and then that just ended one day, and I don't know why. Anyway, so that's the beginning of where my seed, the first seed that was planted for me. And I really didn't think much of it until my good friend, and I'm going to try not to cry, came along in my high school years. Hold on, I'm so sorry. My apologies in a mighty big way. Let me put something down here. I just remembered something else I wanted to add. Okay. So my friend came along in freshman year. It was interesting because, and I'm going to tell a little bit of this story, and I don't think she'll be upset at all. We met in freshman year of high school, and what happened was, it was kind of interesting because we bonded over our love for movies is what happened. And I walked into this class, and oh my word, it was all guys, except one girl who sat in the corner all by herself. Well, I'm like, well, I'm gravitating to the girl, right? And maybe I knew her a little bit back then. Hold on. Boy, help that all of this, congestion that's loosening up here means I'm getting better. Anyway, so I gravitated and I sat next to her. And who knows if we knew each other prior to that, but I don't remember. I just remember this is the first time I really met her and got to know her. And back in our days, the very first hour that you went to class, because it was our very first class, we watched what they called, I don't know if I can say it, Channel 1. That's what we called it, Channel 1. It was a news station. And we watched that with the news and everything, and of course they have things like that. Well, anyway, I remember her and I just, what really bonded us together was the movies. She's very knowledgeable. I was very knowledgeable. We liked our movies. To me, movies are more than just entertaining. It's a piece of art. Now nowadays, I'm going to say they're probably just movies. But back in the day, they were called films, okay? And anywho, we just bonded. We just bonded over so many things. And I don't even remember when she told me she was a Christian, anything like that. I don't remember all of the details. I just remember a few of them. I mentioned in this earlier one that we talked about being a Christian and everything. And I love this story, and I hope you don't mind, dear friend, that I share it. We went to acting class. I mean, in high school, we went to acting. We both really aspired to move to New York, become an actress, or whatever. We wanted to get an apartment in New York. I mean, we just had all these dreams, right? And we even knew how we wanted to decorate. Anyhow, we were in acting class, and for some reason, we had spare time. I'm not sure. The class was, okay, so you know how the theater is set up, because we actually had our class in the theater most of the times. Well, I think all of the time. I can't remember, but just this one particular point. The whole class was, there's like the two levels, right? You got the lower level and the upper level, and most theaters. Well, all the class and the teacher was down in the lower level. However, my friend and I were up in the upper level on the very, very tippy top seats, so far away from the class. And I don't know why we were there. I don't know anything. I don't know if we were, but it seemed like they were, I don't know. Anyway, and she took that opportunity to witness to me. And she told me the plan of salvation. Again, until I understood, I look back and then I finally get it, right? And all I heard, because this is what I heard the last time, okay, is if you don't get saved, you're going to hell, okay? And getting a little bit more personality on me, a little bit more, I don't know, myself, which is pretty strong-willed. I remember shouting, "I'm not going to hell." And I remember it vividly, and I'm sure she does too, because the whole class turned around and thought, what in the world are they doing up there? Hopefully they were thinking we were practicing for a play that we were just looking at. I don't know. But I shouted it out, and she really kind of, I mean, she was witnessing to me up to that point, but that was like the turning point, I think, for even her, because, oh, what a friend. 9 years, people. 9 years she waited for me to know the Lord. 9 years she invested in me. 9 years she loved me, no matter what. So sorry. I mean, she didn't give up on me, ever. She pursued me, even when we get into my adult years here. Although I was 20, I feel like those are still kid years, in my opinion. I'm still a kid and young and dumb, because that's going to be another one. Oh, sorry, I just totally ripped my Kleenex. Hold on. My Kleenex meaning toilet paper right now, because I'm not employed and I'm going through toilet paper, and I call it the hillbilly Kleenex. Anyway, 9 years. 9 years. And I think that's remarkable. A lot of people would have given up. And in my adult years, when I drank at 21, she didn't give up on me. She wrote letters to me, even though I didn't want anything to do with her. And 1 second. Nope, can't. One minute. I'm pausing for a minute. If anybody has such a friend, what a blessing. I mean, and I might cry. Who knows? I'm just going to get through it. Because, I'm sorry, I'm wiping my eyes. She hates when I toot her own horn, and she hates because I don't deserve her. And it's exactly what Christ did. It was such a picture. And I bet she doesn't like to hear it. I know she doesn't. She's like, oh, Sarah, I'm just, whatever. And she's just so humble about it. But it was such a perfect picture. She pursued just as, God and Christ pursues. She loves and was merciful to me. And even when I was, even when I was drinking and really in my own selfish world is what I like to call it, and it was not somebody who I was. I never was that kind of person. I don't like that kind of person, not me. It's not me. And even growing up, I told myself I didn't want to be that kind of person because I saw what people did when they were drunk. I just, some people are really mean, and some people, it just doesn't, anyway, that's just what I grew up. Okay. That's me. But she, for 9 years, loved me. And boy, there's so much I could say at this moment. Like, I want to talk about my salvation, and maybe, because I'm at 26 minutes already. My goodness. It just how the Lord led me to him is just completely remarkable. And all those seeds that was planted and the watering, and maybe she was the one, because the first seed was planted and she came along and watered it, and boy, she had it rough, because I'm not an easy person, and you can ask my roommate. I'm not an easy person to deal with and live with. And I think the two people who get me the most, well, 3, one of them has passed away, the mentor that I mentioned in another series. There was, I think, well, okay, I think there's about 4 people, 5, including one that passed away, but 4 people who have truly understood my whole, and they know how to talk to me, and because I'm an extrovert, okay, and an extreme one, I hate to say it, and I mean, I look, okay, my sister and my best friend, she's my best friend in all the world. Sorry. Those two, we're all best friends. We all call ourselves the Musketeers. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, you two. But, because we have another person out there that's a Musketeer. And we're all 4, and we're all planning a trip together. And we've been together for years, like 30 some years. And of course, my sister and I, we've known each other our whole lives. And anyway, long story short, those two just really get me. And if it wasn't for those two, I love you guys, I would be terrible. Because, I mean, as an extrovert, we can be a little bit self-absorbed, I think. And this is just me, okay? Maybe I should research it and see what people say and maybe get a psychiatrist in here. I don't know. But, like, they were so patient with me. And still to this day, so patient. I just don't deserve, I don't deserve it. And isn't that what we don't deserve God's salvation? He created us. We totally disobeyed him on not eating out of a tree. And people are like, oh, just a tree. But, wouldn't it be nice if we didn't know evil, right? I mean, the whole world knows there's evil in here. And, sorry, I'm ripping my wonderful Hillbilly Kleenex again and drying my eyes. But anyway, I just don't deserve them. And amazing friends, not just my sister. I mean, we're all sisters in Christ, my sister in flesh. We're all good best friends. We've been through so much together. It's just amazing. It's amazing. And someday I really hope we do get to share a story. But that's for all of us to share, not just me. Anyhow, so those were the the seeds that were planted, the watering. But I do want to mention one thing, because I was listening to the first episode, and I want to mention I was a bully too, okay? Because, and this is what shaped me. I'm almost positive. So there was and I just want to put this out there because I feel so guilty to this day. And of course, the Lord has forgiven me, since forgiven me. It's washed under the blood. It's drowned in the depths of the sea. But there was a particular girl in our bus route. Okay, so, to give a history, our family kind of lived close. My grandma, my aunt and uncle, and us. We all kind of had like a little corner thing with all of us, and we were on my grandma was on the corner road, and my aunt and uncle over here, and we were on the other side. Okay, so we were all close. We were on the bus, so I got close to my cousins. There was four cousins that lived by us, and the one that was closest to us, we all rode the bus together, and blah blah blah. And there was a girl on the bus who, back in the day, they didn't really kind of define. And I don't know how much I still believe, but, not OCD, but, what are, people with ADHD or autism, things like that wasn't really defined back then. And there was a girl on her bus who was kind of different, and who might have been really autistic, and just, we never knew it. And I remember being egged on to kind of be rude to her, and I was. And it was, with people that I trusted, once again, to just egg me on, and I was the source. And so I, too, bullied. And maybe that's why I just try so hard not to. I don't know. I was bullied, and then I did this one girl. The one girl popped in my mind when I was like, oh, man, I need to realize, too, that I did the same thing to this particular girl. And if I ever ran into her again, I would be like, and I know her name, first and last. Maybe I should look it up and apologize. But I, too, bullied others. So, not a perfect childhood, even though I stayed out of, like, drinking and partying and all that stuff up through to high school, up till I was 21. I had what we would call a moralistic. I was moralistic, I didn't do all that stuff that other people are doing today. And, and everybody's like, why can't you understand that? That's the normal thing. Well, it wasn't normal for me. My normal was I didn't want to do that stuff. Anyway, so that's just me, confessing my sin one to another that nobody really knows that's been on my mind for all these years. But anyhow, these here were the impressionable years. I mean, there's so much I could tell you. I mean, so many stories, but that would take a whole book. So I'm leaving it here with this. We're going to go on to the next part, because I think I covered everything that I should, at least what the Lord told me to, at least what I felt like was needed. I'm just kind of letting him guide the whole thing. Hopefully he's guiding it and has his hand in it, because really it's not any point if that's the case. Anyway, so I just want to say thank you for listening. Thank you, my dear friends. You know who they are. My pastor's wife, her daughter, my sister, my best friend of all time. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.